Thank you. Hey, you guys. Welcome to another good cooking show with Giani being in the kitchen. All right, so when I think about Thanksgiving, and we are 2 weeks again from Thanksgiving, I think about the colors of the fall, think about parties, friends getting together. It's the beginning of basically the holidays and stuff like that. So I think about cranberries, I think about turkey, all right? But we're going to do something again in the spirit of not cooking the whole bird for those who only have just a few people to cook for, or they just don't want to deal with cooking the whole bird. So what we're going to do this time, we're going to do turkey breast, all right? And it's about 4 pounds of turkey breast. So it's actually servings for at least 4 people. And what I did this time is that I've used walnut brandy mixed with maple syrup as a glaze, and also I did a cranberry mix. So what I did is actually I soaked my um, cranberries overnight into walnut brandy and maple syrup. And what I did is that after that, when I was ready to actually cook the turkey, I took, just for the purpose of the video, we went ahead because it would take not too much time, but a lot of prep. So what I did is that I actually did sweat some mushrooms, and I will leave all the recipe under my comments in the video. I did sweat some mushrooms with a little bit of walnut oil also. So it's a combination of walnut brandy and walnut oil. I did 50% walnut oil and 50% olive oil. And it's just like a drizzle, basically, just to coat the bottom of the pan, the mushrooms. And I kind of sweated the water out of the mushrooms first. A little bit of salt and pepper, not much. Herbs of Provence. And then what I did is that I did butterfly the bigger part of my turkey breast. And I kind of like took the cranberries that were actually soaked, infused with actually the walnut brandy and the maple syrup. And I did stick it right in there. I covered the turkey up, the turkey breast. And basically, I did brown it on one side and gently flip it over. And this is where we're looking at now. So again, just for the purpose of the video, I just pulled it out, and you can see how beautiful. And they're like, basically they are dried up cranberries that I did soak in the brandy and maple syrup. And it's just like fantastic. So now what I got to do is basically let it rest a little bit, and then we're going to slice it up. I also wanted to talk to you about 2 things very quickly. This is the time of the year where you actually entertain. Usually I love to cook all kinds of stuff for my friends, my family. So in the spirit of entertaining, a lot of people like to cook scallops. So the way I did is that, so let me show you, it's very tricky. So you can't leave the stove, because if they are overcooked, then they're going to be basically rubbery. So what I did is that you can go to your fish store and you ask for the largest, basically, scallops, and they will unpick them for you. And you don't want, because you don't want to mix the different size, because you stick with all the big size like this, we somewhat cook equally, and that's important. So I did a drizzle of walnut oil, all right, in the theme of Thanksgiving, all right, and sticking with walnut oil and walnut brandy. And what I did is that I did some herbs of Provence all over them, and I did some basically some parsley, and literally you once that oil gets hot, I cover it. You wait maybe minute and a half. You flip them over. That's when the tool, like the tweezers kitchen, you basically flip them over, and literally 1 more minute. You cover it. You see that steam coming right underneath the clear cover that I use. So that means that the wall is coming out of them still. And then what you do, basically, you pull them out. Literally, it's like 2.5 minutes of very high cooking, and then you pull them out, and I just shaved some lemon right over it, and that's that. I mean, it's just like a beautiful little snack while you're putting together your Thanksgiving thing. And this is again, this is the reason why those clear tops are very important to me, because I like to see the steam, and that tells me if trust me, between oil you can see oil like bubbling right on top underneath kind of thing. But if it's steam, it's going to steam up. Then you're going to know, wow, there's water still in there, so I'm not overcooking them, and you got to get the water out. It's the same with the mushrooms. All right, so they are like little tricks of the trade, basically, that I love about the clear tops. So again, what I did is that just for the purpose of the video, I went ahead and on this beautiful dish there, I did some butternut squash, all right, and I glazed it completely with that 50% mixture of walnut brandy and maple syrup. And I did first about 20 minutes in the oven, and then after that, I pulled it out and I sliced them, not completely through, just like they are not completely through, basically. I sliced them all over, just like that. And then after that, I put it in the oven with another good glaze of maple syrup and walnut brandy. And I put those cranberries that were infused right in the cracks, not all the cracks, obviously, but in some of the cracks, just to keep them open. So like the butternut squash has the walnut brandy going in there. And then what I did is that I also did some slices of sweet potatoes, and they were about half of an inch, a solid half of an inch thick when I started it. Put them in the oven for like 25 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever is recommended, with the glaze of the cranberries, with the brandy and the maple syrup, and that's that, basically. So what we're going to do now is that, I'm going to show you one more thing also. I'm going to show you, like, I can't think about Thanksgiving without mashed potatoes, all right? So this is just like, so people basically can pick at it and stuff like that. The asparagus, they have a zest of lemon right on it. So I want to show you a trick with the potatoes. So the mashed potato, the way that I've learned to do that, it's a little tricky, all right? So you put them, today I had like all big potatoes, some of them a little smaller, all right? And you put them in the oven for like 1 hour, basically. And then you're going to see that the skin has a tendency to like come out. So what I do after that, all right, I take a knife to it, to each potatoes when they start cooling off. Seriously, so you got to be able to handle them, all right? So you know that potatoes keep their heat for a long time. And then I slice the potatoes in half, I spread them apart, and then I take like a spoon, and I will spoon every potato right out, all right? Not completely. You don't want to go near the skin, just the nectar, what I like to call the nectar, the soft part of each potato. And then what I do to it, once you're done doing the whole thing like that, okay, you basically, I take like a mesh pan like that, and I will force twice all the potatoes, all that nectar from the potatoes. And I know it's a little bit time consuming, but believe me, it's all worth it. I will take like a fat spatula and I force it right through there. And whatever doesn't go through there, after once you discard it. So in theory, you're just getting just the nectar of it to go through that mesh, basically. And what you end up having is actually a very smooth mashed potato. And then what I do, I go on the stove. Basically, I had some butter. You can do lightly salted butter. You can do regular butter. All right. Those, I got them chunks already, like we do in French restaurants in Paris. We chunk our butter like this. Like this, we can control the size. So I started with 2, and I take some hot milk, or you take some heavy cream, and basically on a decent flame. But you don't want to boil. You don't want to boil the mashed potato. You just stir it, whip it, melt that butter with the milk, and then you pull it out, and you keep stirring it and stirring it and stirring it. You may add a little bit more milk. I prefer heavy cream, or you may add some butter, A lot of people add a lot of butter to it and no cream or no milk. And then you just stir it up. And then if you need a little more heat to mix butter, then you put it back right on the stove, just like that. And then what you end up is having a beautiful buttery mashed potato, the way that we serve it in Paris in some of the top-notch restaurants, and I just love it because it's a little time consuming, but it's a very luxurious, a good spin on the mashed potato. That again, we're trying to keep everything in a very Thanksgiving fashion way, kind of thing. But I think that if we do that to the potatoes, we're not going to kill the spirit of Thanksgiving. We're just going to add a good texture to that. So basically, we got that we did handle. All right, I wanted to show you that because, and it takes a little bit of time. You just whip it until you melt all that butter, and then that's about it. So what we're gonna do now, make a little room. So what I did is that this and that, and then what I'm going to do is that now that the turkey has been resting for solid 10 minutes, we're gonna slice it. Beautifully done, just like that. And I just need a little more room. And basically, let's go for it. All right. Again, we got to control the heat. We got to control our heat. You got to make sure the bird should be done at 165, but you can pull it out a little bit before that, because again, while the birds are resting, while your turkey breasts are resting, what happens is that it's kind of like have a tendency to cook still. So again, this is cooked, very juicy. Nothing is dried up, all right? And because it's not done in the oven, it's done in a pan, and then you cover it. Basically, you got all the juices there, and it's just very beautiful. I mean, it's I love when you add some stuff like that to presentation wise, and you take some elements of the season, like walnuts. Like, how about a walnut brandy? I was thinking it's like, and why not? Why not? Because it's very seasonal. And what I do is that I stick it right in there, all of that meat run in there. And how beautiful is that? And I can assure you that people are absolutely going to love picking at it. So it's almost like you're better off making a little more because it's so good. And what I'm going to do, basically, I'm going to spoon some of those mushrooms, all right, with the walnut brandy, the dried up cranberries that I soaked in there, and you just put it all over this gracious turkey of the season. That's about it. So again, this is like a little bit of a different spin for a Thanksgiving. Again, this is not made, to replace everything, but it's taking in consideration that we can have a lot of fun just doing turkey breast and taking some elements of the season, like walnut brandy, cranberries, and walnut oil. You can get all that stuff very easy. Basically, this is La Tourangelle. It's a roasted walnut oil. I think it's from California, and just to keep within the basically the realm of the season, basically. And I did those sweet potatoes, and if you need to paint them a second time with some fresh maple syrup and the walnut brandy, by all means, you can do that. Yeah, I prefer to put a little bit more of the maple syrup so they stay sweet. But trust me, just the way that they are right now, they are like candies. So this is my spin. One more spin on the Thanksgiving, and I hope that I can put another Thanksgiving dish before the actually day of Thanksgiving. And enjoy. And I hope that you love our videos. Please subscribe and look us up. And have a good season, have a great Thanksgiving, and enjoy great cooking. All right. Bye.